The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Dr. Lily Martinez sat at her desk in the Global Space Initiative's Communications Center, sipping her third cup of coffee. The computers around her hummed their usual morning song, when suddenly every screen in the facility lit up with the same pattern, a signal unlike anything they had ever seen before. She nearly spilled her coffee as she rushed to the main console. The signal was clear and structured, definitely artificial, and definitely not from Earth. After 15 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, they had finally found something. Or rather, something had found them. "Get me Director Phillips," she shouted to her assistant. Within minutes, the facility buzzed with activity as scientists and officials poured in from every department. The signal contained mathematical sequences, prime numbers, geometric ratios, and finally, images. The aliens called themselves the Zarkadians, and they represented something called the Galactic Council. They had been watching Earth for some time, monitoring human development until they deemed humanity ready for contact. When the first visual transmission came through, Lily found herself staring at beings that looked nothing like the little green men of old science fiction. The Zarkadians were tall, elegant creatures with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their large, multifaceted eyes reminded her of dragonflies, and they moved with a grace that seemed almost liquid. "We come in peace," the transmission stated in perfectly translated English. "We wish to establish diplomatic relations with your species." Within days, the world's governments scrambled to form a unified response team. Lily, as the first contact specialist who received the initial transmission, found herself at the center of it all. She worked day and night with linguists and diplomats, refining communication protocols and learning more about their new galactic neighbors. The Zarkadians explained that Earth sat on the edge of explored space in what they called the Young Zone, a region where developing civilizations were left to grow without interference until they discovered faster-than-light travel or were contacted by the Council. 3 weeks after first contact, the Zarkadian delegation arrived. Their ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star, landing gracefully in the newly constructed diplomatic zone in Geneva. Lily stood among Earth's chosen representatives, her heart pounding as the ship's doors opened with a soft hiss. The alien delegation emerged, their skin shifting through shades of blue and green in the sunlight. Their leader, who called himself First Speaker Zell, approached the human delegation with fluid movements. His translator device hummed softly as he spoke. "We bring greetings from the 523 species of the Galactic Council," he said, his voice carrying a musical quality that no translation device could quite capture. Everything went smoothly until the routine bioscan. It was a standard protocol, they explained, necessary for all species meeting for the first time. The Zarkadian scientists ran their devices over the human delegation, and that's when their behavior changed. The shifting colors of their skin froze in patterns of deep purple, a reaction Lily would later learn indicated extreme surprise and concern. The aliens huddled together, speaking rapidly in their native tongue with their translators turned off. Lily caught them casting strange glances at the humans, their compound eyes reflecting the sunlight in unsettling ways. When they finally turned their translators back on, their questions became more focused, more probing. They asked about human healing, about how quickly humans recovered from injuries, about human endurance and adaptation to different environments. Each answer seemed to disturb them more, though they tried to hide it. As the day drew to a close, Lily overheard 2 Zarkadian scientists discussing something in hushed tones, their translators barely picking up their words. "How can they survive like this? It's not possible. The cellular regeneration rates. The neural plasticity. We must inform the Council immediately." Lily didn't understand the significance of their words then, but she noticed how the Zarkadians kept their distance after that, how their movements became more cautious, more measured. Something about humans had shocked them deeply, but what it was, she couldn't yet guess. That night, as she wrote her report, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger galaxy, but they had somehow already managed to frighten their new neighbors. The question was, why? Commander Peter Walsh tried not to stare at the crystalline walls of the Zarkadian ship Stellar Wisdom. 2 weeks into the exchange program, and he still couldn't get used to how the corridors seemed to shift and pulse with flowing light. He was the first human selected to live aboard an alien vessel, chosen for his calm demeanor and diplomatic skills. The ship's medical bay had become his second home. The Zarkadian scientists insisted on daily examinations, though they wouldn't explain why. Today was no different as he lay on the examination table, trying not to flinch as cold sensor arrays passed over his body. "Fascinating," muttered Chief Researcher Vix, her skin flickering between shades of green and violet. "Commander Walsh, please hold still while we test your cellular response." Peter felt a slight pinch on his arm. Looking down, he saw a small cut appear and then begin to heal almost immediately. The Zarkadians in the room all changed color to deep purple, just as they had during first contact. They chittered amongst themselves in their native language, forgetting or ignoring their translation devices. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the alien scientists were conducting their own research. Dr. Lily Martinez worked closely with them, sharing data about human biology, medicine, and history. She noticed how they recoiled when she mentioned extreme sports, their skin turning pale at stories of humans who survived falls from great heights or recovered from severe injuries. One day, a junior Zarkadian researcher named Kex approached her privately. His color shifted nervously as he spoke. "Dr. Martinez, is it true that humans deliberately injure themselves for entertainment?" "You mean sports?" Lily asked. "Well, yes, sometimes people get hurt playing sports, but it's not the main purpose." "And you heal, just like that?" Kex's translator couldn't hide the tremor in his voice. "Usually, yes. Don't Zarkadians heal from injuries?" Kex's skin turned a shade she had never seen before. "Not like you. Nothing like you." Aboard the Stellar Wisdom, Peter was starting to piece things together. During mealtimes, he noticed how carefully the aliens handled everything, how they avoided any possibility of injury. When he accidentally cut his finger on a data tablet and simply put a bandage on it, several crew members had to leave the room. The mystery deepened when Peter was given access to the ship's medical database. He learned that most species in the Galactic Council had evolved with advanced technology to compensate for their physical fragility. A simple broken bone could be fatal to a Zarkadian. Their bodies had no natural healing process. All repairs had to be done through medical technology. One evening, Peter found himself in a conversation with the ship's captain, Zarlax. The captain's usual formal demeanor had softened after sharing a meal. "Your species," Zarlax said, gesture colors dancing across his skin. "You are different from anything we have encountered. The Council," he paused, his colors swirling uncertainly. "The Council is concerned." "Concerned about what?" Peter asked, though he was beginning to understand. "You humans repair yourselves. You adapt. You survive conditions that would kill any other known species, and you do it naturally without technology." Zarlax's skin rippled with patterns that Peter recognized as anxiety. "Some council members think this makes humans dangerous." Peter thought about humanity's history, about mountain climbers and deep-sea divers, about people who survived against impossible odds. He thought about how humans explored and adapted to every environment on Earth, from frozen tundra to scorching deserts. Before he could respond, the ship's emergency alerts activated. Red light pulsed through the crystalline walls as the captain was called to the bridge. Peter followed, authorized by his diplomatic status, and watched as a transmission from the Galactic Council filled the main screen. The message was brief but clear. All research on humans was to be intensified. The Council had called an emergency session to discuss the human situation. As Peter watched the worried faces of the crew, He realized that humanity's place in the galaxy might depend on whether our greatest strength would be seen as a gift or a threat. Chief Medical Officer Catherine Boyd stood before the Galactic Council, her research papers spread across the floating holographic display. The vast chamber held representatives from hundreds of alien species, all watching her with various forms of their species' equivalent of horrified fascination. "As you can see," she said, pointing to a diagram of human cellular structure, "human tissue naturally repairs itself. Our bones can mend, our skin can heal, and our bodies can adapt to many different environments." She tried to keep her voice steady, though the mounting tension in the room was hard to ignore. A Moravian counselor, whose crystalline body sparkled under the chamber's lights, spoke first. "You mean to tell us that if a human breaks a bone, they don't need immediate medical stasis?" "That's correct," Catherine replied. "While we do use medical treatment to help the process, our bodies heal on their own." The chamber erupted in concerned murmuring. Catherine caught fragments of conversations about biological impossibilities and potential threats. She looked to Commander Peter Walsh for support. He had returned from the Stellar Wisdom to help present their findings. "Perhaps a demonstration would help," Peter suggested. He stepped forward and showed a recent cut on his arm that was nearly healed. "This happened 3 days ago. No medical technology was used." The council chamber descended into chaos. Several delegates had to be escorted out, overwhelmed by the implications. Others demanded immediate quarantine protocols for Earth. A few simply sat in stunned silence. Back on Earth, Dr. Lily Martinez was reviewing the latest data from their research exchange. The Zarkadian scientists had shared their medical records, and what she found was astounding. In their entire recorded history, no Galactic Council species had ever developed natural healing abilities. They relied entirely on advanced medical technology for survival. A Zarkadian researcher named Vix approached her desk, skin shifting in nervous patterns. "Dr. Martinez, we found something else in our studies. Human children. They learn and adapt at rates that should be impossible. Their brains actually change and grow." Lily looked up from her work. "You mean neural plasticity. Don't your species have that?" "No," Vix replied, her color turning a deep shade of worried purple. "Our brains are fixed at birth. We can add technological enhancements, but we cannot naturally change or grow." Meanwhile, in the council chamber, Catherine was showing more data. She displayed images of human achievements. People living in the frozen Arctic, tribes surviving in scorching deserts, deep sea divers adapting to extreme pressures, and mountain climbers surviving at high altitudes. "Humans can live almost anywhere on their planet," she explained. "We adapt, we heal, we learn, and we grow stronger from challenges." An elderly quantum being, their form shifting between states of matter, raised what appeared to be a hand. "And what happens when humans face something truly dangerous, something that should kill them?" Peter stepped forward again. "Then we usually come back stronger. There's an old human saying, 'What doesn't kill us makes us stronger.'" The chamber fell silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy with fear and realization. Then a young Zarkadian scientist burst into the chamber, their skin flashing urgent patterns. "Honored Council," they said, "we've completed our statistical analysis. Humans don't just heal, they get stronger after healing. Their bones become stronger where they break. Their immune systems become more robust after fighting disease. They adapt to poisons and become resistant. They're not just surviving, they're constantly evolving." Catherine watched as the council members processed this information. Some were huddled in small groups, discussing frantically. Others were already drafting emergency protocols on their data terminals. She caught sight of one message being passed among council members. "How do we contain a species that grows stronger from everything that should destroy them?" For the first time, Catherine understood the full impact of their revelation. Humanity's greatest strength, our ability to adapt and overcome, was precisely what terrified the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Ambassador Susan Chen watched as the alien delegates moved away from her in the council's great dining hall. Their behavior had changed drastically since Dr. Boyd's presentation, where once they had been curious about humans, now they showed clear signs of fear. A group of Moravians whispered among themselves, their crystal bodies catching the light as they gestured toward her. "They can regrow damaged tissue," one said. "How do you stop something that repairs itself?" Susan pretended not to hear, but her heart sank. 20 years of diplomatic service hadn't prepared her for this situation. How could humanity's natural healing abilities cause such panic? Meanwhile, Dr. Alan Morris worked in his lab back on Earth, studying the psychological data from human-alien interactions. The results amazed him. Humans didn't just heal physically, they adapted mentally in ways the aliens couldn't understand. "Look at this," he said to Dr. Lily Martinez, pointing to his screen. "When humans face a new challenge, our stress responses actually help us perform better. The aliens' stress responses shut them down completely." Lily leaned in to study the data. "So when they're afraid, they freeze," Alan finished. "But humans, we fight or run, then learn from the experience. We get better, stronger. That terrifies them." On the Stellar Wisdom, Commander Peter Walsh noticed more changes. The crew now worked in shifts to avoid human contact. The daily medical examinations stopped completely. Even the ship's captain, Zarlax, seemed uncomfortable around him. One evening, Peter found a young Zarkadian technician named Kix still willing to talk. "Is it true?" Kix asked, his skin shifting in nervous patterns. "That humans deliberately put themselves in danger to test their limits?" Peter thought about mountain climbers, deep-sea explorers, and astronauts. "Yes," he answered honestly. "We call it pushing our boundaries." Kix's skin turned pale. "But why take such risks? Why not stay safe?" "Because that's how we grow," Peter explained. "How we learn. How we get better." The technician's translator crackled with distress. "That's what scares them most. You don't just survive. You get stronger from things that should kill you." Back in the council chambers, Susan faced another difficult session. A quantum being floated forward, its form shifting like smoke. "We have reports that humans expose their young to controlled dangers. They call it play. How do you explain this barbaric practice?" Susan took a deep breath. "Children learn through play. They fall down, get back up, and try again. It helps them develop. You deliberately let your offspring experience failure and pain." A Moravian counselor's crystal form flickered with horror. "And they don't shatter from the trauma?" "No," Susan replied. "They become more resilient." The chamber erupted in frightened murmurs. Susan caught fragments of conversations about quarantine protocols and containment measures. Dr. Alan Morris' research revealed more unsettling truths for the aliens. Humans could adapt to almost any situation. Extreme temperatures, high pressure, low oxygen, even certain poisons. Given enough time, humans could survive almost anywhere. "It's not just our bodies," he explained to Lily. "Our minds adapt too. We solve problems, find ways around obstacles, learn from our mistakes. The aliens can't understand why we don't just accept our limitations." The fear spread through the galactic community like a wave. Space stations began refusing human visitors. Trade negotiations stalled. Some species even started evacuating systems near Earth. Susan received an urgent message from Earth's government. The Galactic Council was holding secret sessions without human representatives. Something big was coming, and it wouldn't be good for Earth. As she walked back to her quarters that evening, Susan overheard two council members talking in low voices. "If they can adapt to almost anything," one said, "how can we possibly control them?" The other's response sent a chill down her spine. "Perhaps we shouldn't let them leave their solar system at all. For the safety of the galaxy." Lieutenant Gregory Hayes crouched in the maintenance tunnel of the Galactic Council's secondary data center, his heart pounding. As Earth's military intelligence officer, he had noticed strange energy readings around the solar system. Now he knew why. The data scrolling across his tablet confirmed his worst fears. The Council wasn't just afraid of humans. They planned to imprison the entire human race. The design specs showed a massive energy barrier that would trap Earth and its solar system in a bubble of altered spacetime. Through his earpiece, he heard Dr. Lily Martinez's voice from Earth. "What exactly are you seeing, Greg?" "They're calling it the containment shield," he whispered. "Once it's activated, nothing can get in or out. They're planning to lock us away from the rest of the galaxy forever." Meanwhile, Ambassador Susan Chen faced a hostile council chamber. The fear had turned to open hostility, with species that once welcomed humans now calling for extreme measures. "The humans must be contained," a Moravian representative declared, his crystalline form pulsing with aggressive light. "Their ability to adapt and grow stronger from adversity makes them too dangerous to allow free travel through the galaxy." Susan stood her ground. "We've shown no hostility to any species. We seek peaceful cooperation, not conflict." "But you become stronger from conflict," a quantum being shouted, its form rippling with agitation. "Every challenge makes you more powerful. Given enough time, what's to stop humans from becoming unstoppable?" On the Stellar Wisdom, Commander Peter Walsh noticed increased security around the ship's quantum communications array. He managed to intercept fragments of encrypted messages about containment protocols and species isolation procedures. The ship's young technician, Kix, risked everything to help him. "They're going to trap your species," Kix whispered, his skin showing patterns of deep distress. "The barrier technology will create a prison you can't escape from." Back in the data center, Gregory downloaded the shield specifications to his tablet. "Lily, are you seeing this? The technology is incredible. They're going to use quantum-locked energy fields to create a barrier nothing can pass through." "Keep downloading," Lily replied. "Dr. Alan Morris thinks he might find a weakness in the design." The council chamber erupted into chaos when Susan Chen stepped forward to speak again. "Before you vote on this containment plan," she said, her voice cutting through the noise, "remember that humans don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to help others survive too." She gestured to historical records of human medical achievements. "Every time we've faced a challenge, we've used our adaptability to find solutions that help everyone. Our medical knowledge, our problem-solving abilities, our determination to overcome obstacles. These could benefit the entire galaxy." In the maintenance tunnel, Gregory's tablet suddenly lit up with an alert. "They're starting the containment procedure early," he hissed into his communicator. "The barrier generators are powering up." Across the solar system, massive alien devices hummed to life, preparing to seal Earth away from the rest of the galaxy. The Council had made its decision, driven by fear rather than reason. But they had underestimated humanity's greatest strength, our ability to work together under pressure. Gregory's data reached Earth just in time. Dr. Morris and his team worked frantically to analyze the barrier technology. Commander Walsh gathered critical intelligence from the Stellar Wisdom, and in the council chamber, Susan Chen prepared to make one last desperate appeal. "You fear our strength," she told the council, her voice firm and clear. "But strength without compassion is meaningless. We don't seek to dominate. We seek to understand, to help, to heal. Yes, humans are adaptable. Yes, we grow stronger from adversity. But we use that strength to protect others, not to harm them." As she spoke, the barrier generators continued their startup sequence. The next few hours would determine whether humanity would be imprisoned in its own solar system, or if they could convince the galaxy that their adaptability was a gift rather than a threat. Dr. Nicole Parker ran through the crowded halls of the Global Space Initiative, clutching her tablet with trembling hands. The containment barrier generators were nearly at full power, but she had found something incredible in the alien medical database. "Dr. Martinez," she called out, bursting into the command center. "Look at this data on the Moravian crystal plague. Their entire species is dying because they can't adapt to a simple virus. But our immune system, it could be the key to saving them." Lily Martinez looked up from her station, where she had been coordinating with Lieutenant Hayes. "What do you mean?" "Human antibodies," Nicole explained, pulling up complex medical diagrams. "We can help them develop new treatments based on how our bodies fight disease. We don't just heal ourselves, we could help heal them too." In the council chamber, Ambassador Susan Chen received Nicole's data just in time. She interrupted the final containment vote, her voice ringing through the vast hall. "Before you seal us away forever," she announced, "you need to see this." She projected the medical data onto the chamber's main display. The Moravian crystal plague has already claimed thousands of lives, but human medical science might be able to stop it. The chamber fell silent. A Moravian elder floated forward, his crystalline form clouded with disease. "Explain," he demanded. Meanwhile, on the Stellar Wisdom, Commander Peter Walsh worked with Kix to broadcast Nicole's findings to other ships. The young Zarkadian technician's skin showed patterns of hope for the first time in days. "Your bodies don't just fight off disease," Kix said, amazed. "They remember how to fight it. They learn from it." "That's right," Peter replied. "And we can use that knowledge to help others." In her lab on Earth, Nicole worked frantically with a team of human and alien scientists. They had less than an hour before the containment barrier would activate. She loaded samples of human antibodies into a medical scanner, watching as it analyzed their structure. "Look here," she told Vexthor, the Zarkadian scientist who had first studied human healing. "Our immune system doesn't just attack threats, it adapts to them. We could use this principle to help other species develop better treatments." Vexthor's skin shifted to a color Nicole had never seen before, one of awe and understanding. "All this time," the alien said, "we thought your adaptation made you dangerous. But it could save us all." Back in the council chamber, Susan showed more data. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't just our ability to survive," she explained. "It's our ability to help others survive too. We want to share our medical knowledge, not keep it to ourselves." The Moravian elders studied the data with growing interest. "You would help us, even after we tried to imprison your entire species." "Of course," Susan replied. "That's another thing about humans. We adapt emotionally too. We can move past fear and anger to find better solutions." Lieutenant Hayes's voice crackled over the comm system. "The containment generators are at 95% power. We need a decision now." In that moment, Dr. Nicole Parker made a bold move. She injected herself with a sample of the crystal plague virus, modified to be safe for human biology. The alien scientists watched in amazement as her immune system began to fight it off, creating new antibodies that could be used to develop a cure. "This is what humanity offers," she said, sharing the live medical data with the council. "We don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to thrive, and to help others thrive too." The council chamber erupted in discussion. The Moravian elder raised his crystalline arms for silence. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have been looking at this wrong. The human's ability to adapt and grow stronger. It could be exactly what this galaxy needs." All around the solar system, the containment generators hummed at full power, waiting for the final command. The next few minutes would determine whether humanity would be seen as a threat to be contained or a hope for the galaxy's future. 6 months after the Council's decision to cancel the containment plan, Captain Benjamin Rogers stood on the observation deck of Hope Station, the first mixed-species medical research facility in the galaxy. The space station's curved windows showed Earth below, a beautiful blue marble against the black of space. "Captain," called Dr. Nicole Parker from her research lab, "the latest test results are in. The Moravian crystal plague cure is working. Their death rate has dropped by 90%. Ben smiled as he watched a Moravian ship dock with the station, its crystalline hull sparkling in the sunlight. Inside were more patients coming for treatment. What had once been humanity's most terrifying trait, their ability to adapt and grow stronger, had become the galaxy's greatest hope. In another part of the station, Dr. Laila Martinez worked with a team of alien scientists. They studied how human healing could help other species. The Zarkadians had already started developing new medical treatments based on human biology. "It's amazing," said Vexthor, his skin showing patterns of joy. "We feared your ability to heal and grow stronger. Now we're learning to help our own people do the same." Lily nodded, remembering how close they had come to being locked away from the galaxy forever. Sometimes the things we fear most turn out to be exactly what we need. On Earth, Ambassador Susan Chen met with the Galactic Council's new Human Understanding Committee. The aliens no longer moved away from her in fear. Instead, they eagerly shared stories of how human medical knowledge had helped their people. The humans have treated over 10,000 patients from different species. A quantum being reported, its form glowing with positive energy. Each treatment teaches us more about healing and adaptation. Lieutenant Gregory Hayes, now head of station security, watched as human and alien medical teams worked together. The maintenance tunnels where he had once hidden to spy on the Council's containment plans were now filled with medical supply lines. "It's hard to believe they wanted to lock us away just 6 months ago," he said to Commander Peter Walsh, who was visiting from his new post as Earth's representative to the Stellar Exploration Fleet. Peter watched as a group of young Zarkadians practiced human-inspired emergency medical procedures. "Fear can make anyone act wrongly," he said, "but understanding can change everything." In the station's main medical bay, Dr. Nicole Parker worked with her alien colleagues to develop new treatments. They had discovered that each species had different kinds of strength. Humans could heal and adapt, Moravians could channel energy in unique ways, and Zarkadians could sense things others couldn't. Together, Nicole told her team, "We're stronger than we ever could be alone." The station's young Zarkadian technician, Kix, who had helped save Earth from containment, now ran the station's communication center. His skin showed proud patterns as he coordinated ships bringing patients from across the galaxy. Even the Moravian elder, who had once demanded humanity's containment, now regularly visited the station. His crystalline form, fully healed thanks to human medical science, sparkled with health as he taught others about the importance of understanding rather than fearing differences. Captain Rogers looked at a message on his tablet. Another 1,000 patients were scheduled to arrive next week. Some needed physical healing, others needed help adapting to new environments. Earth's scientists worked with alien doctors to help them all. "You know what the real truth about humans is," he said to Nicole as she joined him at the window. "It's not just that we adapt and grow stronger. It's that we help others do the same." Nicole watched as another medical ship docked with Hope Station. "The galaxy feared us because we grow stronger from adversity," she said, "but they didn't understand that we would use that strength to help others grow stronger too." As the station orbited Earth, its halls filled with beings from hundreds of worlds, the fear that had once threatened to imprison humanity had transformed into something else. Hope. The terrifying truth about humans that had shook the galaxy had become its greatest source of healing and growth.